Hi there, I'm your guide to help you progress forward in the areas that you care most about in terms of mobility, flexibility, and strength, to give you that athletic edge so that you can progress just a little bit more every time you practice. So if you are feeling any soreness or tightness or a little bit of angst in your quads after the gym, this class is for you. You'll need your yoga mat and 2 blocks. And I'm actually going to take 1 block and move it to the back of the mat. So join me now and step your left foot forward. Place your palms on your hips. You can bring the foot wider apart because there is an element of balance. So we're focusing on the back quad. So just give yourself time to sink into it, shifting forward and shifting back. Squeezing the back glutes so you really get into the whole quad, from the hip to the knee, shifting forward and back. Okay, now start to shift back, and you can take the block and move it right next to the ankle, and you can go on the higher level. Just keep in mind that it's less stable. And what you're going to do is push the hip forward and reach the opposite arm up. And you're just going to pulse in this small range of motion, squeezing the back glute. Good. Just keep pulsing forward and back, squeezing the glute, and really getting into that top of the hip as well. And then slowly release and bring the knee down. I'm just going to move the block over and switch sides. So now, right foot forward, palms on the hips, and shifting forward and back. And just as we're moving in this position, notice how the quad is feeling already. Keeping the hips square, facing forward as you shift forward and back. Okay, and now, squeezing the back glute, bring the palm onto the block and start to push the hip forward, lift the chest, opposite arm up, woo, and little pulses. Shifting forward and back, getting into that top of the hip. Notice if it feels different on this side. And then slowly become still, shift back, lift up. And now you can bring the block forward. And let's start with the same leg. So we're gonna start with the same leg we started with. And I have the blocks in front because if you want to use them for your palms, you can. So now bring the palms inside the foot and wiggle the left foot off the mat. Wiggle the back knee further away. Okay, so you can stay here, getting a nice quad stretch. So the hip down and forward. If the hip is back, you're not gonna get as much of a stretch. So play with it, but keep squeezing that glute. You can stay here, or you can come onto your forearms. Keep squeezing the glute, the back glute. You can also place blocks underneath your forearms. You got 2 arms, so just make sure you use 2. Okay, now take the left arm up, bend the right knee, and reach back for the foot. You can also use a strap, a scarf, whatever you want to get the foot. And if you don't have time or you don't have it, you can just keep reaching and squeezing as you sink the hip, and that will still help. If you have the foot, you can bring the foot toward the glute, sink the hip, rotate the chest, stay with your breath. Keep squeezing that glute. And then slowly unwind, come onto the palms, and switch sides. Again, wiggling the knee back, bringing the foot off the mat, coming down onto the forearms. Now, if you stayed on your palms, we'll do it this way for the other side. Stay on the palms, keep lifting your chest, dropping the hip, the back hip, squeezing the glute. And then from here, take the arm up, bend and then reach and just see how this position feels being on your palms. There's benefits to both. And again, if you need a strap or a belt or a scarf, whatever it is, grab that because it does help assist. And if you want to go deeper, again, you can be on the forearm, bringing the foot to the glute, opening the chest toward the sky, and really squeezing that glute to really open up the front of the hip. Make sure you're breathing through this. Okay, release, come onto your palms, shift back, and now I'm gonna take both blocks. You can eliminate them as we get into this pose, but I want you to try it first, just to help give you a little bit of assistance. So sitting on the block, so keeping the foot, the top of the foot down, toes pointing back, and step the other foot out. And what you want to do, I'm going to show you this first. You want to make sure you're not arching your lower back. You want to draw the tailbone down so you really get into the top part of the hip and the top part of the quad. It will make a huge difference, I promise you. Okay, so foot forward, and now lift your chest. Now lift up and forward, and you can stay like this too. This is a really good stretch. Or you can lower the butt onto the block, but you want to keep that posterior pelvic tilt. So the pubic bone's coming toward the head and the tailbone is going that way. Lift the chest and squeeze. Stay with your breath. So you're energetically driving the knee down, getting that quad stretch all the way from the hip to the knee, really getting into it deeply. And stay with your breath. Now you can stay here, and I'm going to show you another variation. You can take a block away, and it also depends on how tall you are too. Okay, and then the same thing, you can tilt the pelvis, and then come down onto your forearms, and keep working on that posterior pelvic tilt. If your knee comes up, stop. You don't want to put the pressure in the knee like that. So keep that in mind if that's what's happening. Okay, and then slowly come out, and let's start from the beginning for the other side. So, stacking the blocks, and just remember, you can modify for what you need at the moment, and it could change from one side to the other. So the foot is out, reaching the arms back, and then again, lift the hip up and forward. Draw the pubic bone toward your head. That's going to make a big difference. Okay? And now, lower the butt onto the block. See how this position feels. Maybe this is enough. Maybe you stay just on both blocks. Keep the chest lifted. You don't want to collapse chest. You want to keep the chest lifted and keep working on that pelvic tilt. And again, I'm going to show you with one block, coming onto the forearm and lifting the chest. And it's really dependent on what your body needs to get the appropriate stretch where you're looking to get it. Go for one more breath. And now slowly come up. You can move the block. And just shake out the wrists because we were on them a little bit. So those were just a few quick poses to really take care of those quads after the gym, and play with it. Maybe next time try it with just one block, see how it goes, but give yourself time to warm into each of the stretches because they're going to all work together. That's why I put them together like this. So remember, I am here to help you as your guide, to give you that athletic edge for mobility, flexibility, and strength, working towards your progressions for what you care most to take care of your body. Comment below quads and let me know if you did all three and which one felt the best to you. I'd love to hear from you, and I will see you next time.